In the NBA, you have to pretend that Bronny's an NBA player.
There's an unspoken rule inside every NBA locker room, and players feel it the second they walk in. Roster spots aren't just jobs, they're currency. There are only 15, and every single one comes with the weight of hundreds of careers that never made it. Guys who survived Summer League purgatory, bounced through two-way deals, signed and cut from 10-day contracts, flew overseas just to stay visible, and dragged themselves through workout after workout praying for one real chance. Every locker room knows this, and that's why respect isn't handed out. It's earned, guarded, and fiercely protected.
In the NBA, you have to pretend that Bronny's an NBA player, because otherwise you'll upset the king. And remember, he is a 6'2" guard that's a non-point guard. I've never seen that existing in the current NBA. And go back 20 years. He is 1 for 16 in the NBA from the floor, 0 for 7 on threes. He's not an NBA player. He was not a great high school player. He was a good high school player. He wasn't a good college player. He was a college player. And he's not an NBA player. And he may be a great kid. I'm sure he is. LeBron's a nice guy. I've met him. Can we stop pretending on this?
I just looked it up. League top scorers, points per game. I went through 50 and there's no Bronny James in there. He had 140-point game. Other games were 1. So now you do the math, and it's not going to be in the top 50. I don't even know who is this. Bryce McGowan, Elijah Harkles, Trey Alexander, DJ Davidson. Never heard of these kids. But they're dropping 30 a night in G League. Why is Bronny sitting on the bench? And this is the thing with Stephen A.
That's why, when someone occupies a roster spot without fully earning the coaching staff's trust, the tension doesn't stay quiet for long. It doesn't explode, it simmers. Players feel it, coaches feel it, and eventually, it leaks onto the floor. That's exactly where the Los Angeles Lakers are right now with Bronny James. On paper, everything looks clean. He's an NBA player, guaranteed contract, purple and gold on his chest, bench seat every night. But here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. When the Lakers actually needed bodies, when Luka Doncic and Gabe Vincent were out, when Austin Reeves was limited, when the backcourt was stretched thin, and the game still mattered, Bronny's name never got called. Not once. And that silence says more than any box score ever could.
Bronny James, he's 7 for 28 in 4 preseason games from the field. He's 2 for 13, I believe, from three-point range. He's got 8 assists and 8 turnovers. He's moving into year 2. This guy is not an NBA player.
Instead, J.J. Redick made a decision that spoke louder than any press conference ever will. He started Nick Smith Jr. Let that sit with you for a second. Nick Smith Jr., a guard Charlotte already waived before his rookie deal even ran its course. A player with uneven production, defensive question marks, and no clear future carved out anywhere. The Lakers brought him in quietly on a two-way. No hype, no legacy attached, no safety net. And when it came time to choose who they trusted in a real NBA moment with real consequences, they chose him over Bronny James. That's not about development. That's not about patience. That's about trust, or the lack of it. And if you think players in that locker room didn't notice, you're lying to yourself. So what does that tell you about where Bronny really stands right now? And more importantly, how long can this situation stay quiet before it turns into something louder? Drop your take in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started.
Last night came in, 3 turnovers, 0 for 5, looked terrified, nervous, and the Sixers, you can't fool players, went right after it. This continues to be an unserious...
This was never about Nick Smith Jr. magically being the solution. This was about trust, or more accurately, the lack of it. The gap between those two players tells the real story. The Lakers didn't just sit Bronny that night, they spoke loud without saying a word. When Phoenix pulled away, and the outcome was already sealed, that's when Bronny finally checked in. 9 minutes left. Game decided. Pure garbage time. Message delivered. And it wasn't a one-off. It keeps repeating. Same pattern, same signal. If the game is close, Bronny doesn't touch the floor. If the moment matters, he stays glued to the bench. If there's anything real on the line, he's out of the plan. That's not development. That's containment. This isn't about one bad matchup or one rough night. This is a trend that's getting harder to ignore every single week. Bronny has a log more than 10 meaningful NBA minutes since early November. That's not normal usage for a player the team publicly claims it's trying to grow. Even as injuries piled up in the backcourt, even when the Lakers needed energy, defense, or just someone to move the ball, J.J. Redick never turned his head. Not once. And that silence is the loudest answer of all. Coaches play guys they trust. They live with mistakes. They let players fight through ugly stretches. What they will not do is put someone on the floor if they believe that player lowers their chances of winning. And right now, the Lakers are quietly telling us they believe Bronny James does exactly that. Which leads to the uncomfortable question nobody wants to say out loud. Is Bronny holding a roster spot that could actually help this team? Because around the league, there are guards who would kill for those minutes. Real bench guys. Players who defend, space the floor, cut hard, and understand their role without needing touches or patience. These are the players playoff teams lean on when March and April hit. Those guys don't get grace periods. They don't get unlimited patience. They don't get guaranteed deals attached to famous last names. They get judged on production and impact. Period. And right now, Bronny hasn't cleared that bar. Not remotely. That's where the quiet tension starts building, not just with fans, but inside locker rooms everywhere. Players notice everything. They see when someone is protected. They see when chances are handed out instead of earned. They see when a coach bends over backwards to avoid using a player, even when basic basketball logic says he should at least get a real look. Against Phoenix, when the Lakers needed a spark, J.J. Redick searched everywhere except the end of his bench. He leaned on Nick Smith Jr. He rolled out awkward lineups. He dumped more and more responsibility onto Austin Reeves. He did everything possible to avoid Bronny until the game was already over. That's not coincidence. That's not rotation management. That's straight-up avoidance. And the numbers don't bail him out either. Through 15 games, Bronny is averaging under 2 points a night, barely any assists, and almost no defensive impact. And most of that production came in mop-up minutes against deep bench units when the opponent was already checked out. These aren't pressure reps. These aren't minutes against real rotation players. These are low-stakes possessions where teams are just killing clock. And even there, Bronny hasn't popped off the screen. That's the part people don't want to confront. If Bronny were flying around in garbage time, locking people up, knocking down open shots, forcing turnovers, this entire conversation flips overnight. Coaches always reward energy. The league respects hustle. Impact changes everything. But that hasn't happened. Bronny has blended into the background. No separation. No urgency. No moment that forces a coach to say, we need to see more. And again, that silence says more than any stat line ever could. Now zoom out. Bronny James occupies a guaranteed spot on a 15-man roster. The Lakers aren't rebuilding. They're chasing wins right now. They need depth. They need defensive guards. They need players who won't disappear when playoff basketball turns physical and ugly. Yet one of their most valuable roster spots belongs to someone they clearly don't trust to step on the floor when games actually matter. That's not strategy. That's a ticking issue waiting to blow up. Front offices don't run on emotion or headlines. They live in cold math and tight margins. As February approaches and the trade deadline tightens the pressure, every contract becomes either leverage or dead weight. And right now, Bronny looks far less like a long-term development piece and far more like a complicated question Mark the Lakers can't justify using when it counts. So let's deal with reality. Is Bronny untouchable? Not even close. Despite the historic father-son storyline, despite the optics, despite the marketing buzz, the Lakers have already told the truth through their actions. Bronny is not part of the competitive rotation. And if that's the case, keeping him on the active roster becomes harder to defend with every passing week, especially with LeBron James' future still hanging over the franchise. He opted in for another season, but that clock is loud inside the building. Everyone hears it. When that era ends, the protection ends with it. Bronny benefits from that shield right now. Once it's gone, the evaluation turns ruthless and equal. Same standards, same expectations, same pressure. And so far, that evaluation hasn't been kind. None of this means Bronny can't become a real NBA player. Development isn't linear. Guards take time. Growth takes reps. But development requires opportunity, and opportunity only comes with trust. Right now, Bronny has neither. He's stuck in the worst place a young player can be, officially on the roster, but functionally outside the plan. That's how careers quietly stall before they ever get a real chance to begin. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Right now, there are players in the G League, overseas, and even sitting in free agency who would give the Lakers more immediate value than Bronny does today. defensive specialists who live to clam people up, energy guards who flip momentum the second they check in, floor spacers who know exactly who they are and never drift outside their role. These are the players championship teams rely on when games tighten and pressure rises. They don't get protected narratives. They don't get carefully managed timelines. And yet, one of the Lakers' most valuable roster spots is tied up by someone the coaching staff doesn't trust when it actually matters. This isn't about attacking Bronny as a person. This isn't about effort. This is about reality. The NBA is ruthless because it has to be. Too much talent. Too few spots. Every roster decision sends a message. And the message coming out of Los Angeles right now is crystal clear. The Lakers do not trust Bronny James to help them win today. Until that changes, the questions won't stop about fairness, about roster logic, about whether this spot is being used wisely, and about how long a contender can afford to carry a player who exists more as a storyline than a solution. The league doesn't wait. It doesn't care about names or bloodlines. When the ball goes up, it only asks one question: who helps you win? And right now, Bronny James is learning that lesson the hardest way possible, from the bench, watching opportunities go to everyone else. If this breakdown made you uncomfortable, good. Like the video, subscribe, and drop your take in the comments. This debate isn't going anywhere.